All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today, I wanted to talk about the release of The Walking Dead sort of cosmetics, and I guess technically it's a chapter of The Walking Dead. But for those of you who've been keeping an eye on this, we're even getting Daryl as a skin and everything. And there's somebody that we're really missing here. You're probably going to see them on the screen. There's somebody really missing. And I'm here to talk about it, okay? As somebody who's been a Walking Dead enjoyer for as long as I have, there's somebody missing from the roster, and I do believe that this would have been a fantastic opportunity to include Negan as a playable killer for this Walking Dead sort of chapter. Now, there's a couple of examples I can give as a way to kind of help you guys step into my mind and understand kind of where I'm coming from with this concept. Now, what I'm going to include here is a trailer from Tekken 7, which actually had Negan as a playable fighter for that game. And as you can even see within the trailer, literally has probably some of the best representation. And I wanted to kind of give you guys at least sort of a preview of what it could have looked like for Dead by Daylight. You could maybe, within the trailer, you can see everybody's kind of waiting in front of the trailer as Negan sort of appears. Those all could have been survivors. Like, we really could have just had a chapter where we can actually bring one of the most iconic villains from The Walking Dead to the fog. Like, I think this would have worked perfectly. You already have a weapon, Lucille. You could have just included as a weapon. Playable character. You could have had voice lines. You could have brought his likeness into the game. And the potential is completely there. I have to say the potential is completely there. As you can even see, man, the amount of creativity and the writing and the voice lines that we could have had in this would have been absolutely insane. Like, honestly, we could have had so much. His M1 potentially could have been like, there is a move that he actually does within the trailer. He has different animations that he does within the trailer that could have been used potentially to kind of have like an idea for what the weapon cooldown could have looked like. The Mori most definitely could have been what you see, one of the most iconic scenes in The Walking Dead, where he hits Glenn over the head and lands a home run. That would have been absolutely insane. Like, that could have been great. There is definitely a lot of ways that this could have gone. One thing I was considering was talking about maybe a potential lullaby. As you guys know, who have watched The Walking Dead, there has been a super iconic, like, absolutely familiar sound is when you hear the whistle, when he comes in. And that in itself would have been perfect. Honestly, you could have had that be maybe like a potential part of the power, like maybe there could be a lullaby, which would be the whistle, so you kind of know he's coming. And then obviously the power is where it gets a little bit interesting. I'm not exactly sure how we could have incorporated it, but however, we do also have to take into account that even something like Tekken has had a lot of liberties. And there's one thing that I actually saw within his moveset, which was he would hold up his bat and he would say, "Lucille, give me strength." And it would actually increase like his sort of like damage, I guess he was doing. It was like a pretty big swing within that. And I think that maybe that could have been a part of the feature. Maybe that could have been something that he could do. Maybe, him doing like some kind of move. You can see it right there in the trailer. Lucille, give me strength. And he like powers up his bat and like swings and it one-shots them basically to get on the ground. Maybe that could have been a part of the power, right? Like, maybe it could have been some sort of like grab, or like some sort of kind of like, I wouldn't say like Wesker where he's like dashing, but it could be like a command grab or something like that. The potential is definitely there. I think maybe he could have an ability to like maybe break pallets with like way faster when he like has that mode sort of active, and he can just kind of go around. Now keep in mind as well that as we do know, there has been other characters that we probably didn't really think would work within Dead by Daylight. Good example may have been Chucky. There's definitely characters even like Ghostface that, you know, arguably is just a guy wearing a mask, but his whole thing is like trying to expose people, and people found that very enjoyable. So I don't think that Negan would have been too far off from that concept. Now, obviously, I'm not a game designer. I'm not a game developer. I am not a programmer, so I'm not able to think of the best sort of power to give him off the fly, but just going off of what has existed in the past, that could be potentially a concept. Like, there is definitely something there, in my opinion, at least. Like, there are characters that have abilities that really capture the essence of these characters, and I also do believe that we are also having to take into account that it is the entity's realm, which they change the rules however it decides it wants to. This is a common thing that happens with a lot of characters, and it's a lore fact that they do give boosts to characters. Like characters like even like the Legion would not be able to canonically go up against characters like Jill from Resident Evil, or Chris Resident Evil, or Ash Williams, or any from Evil Dead, or anything like that. Like, they would get bodied, right? Because ultimately the Legion are just a bunch of teenagers sitting around chasing people with a knife. Now, the entity obviously gives everybody a boost, and then it also nerfs different characters as well. Like, if you take into account like Vecna or Freddy or other characters like that are canonically very powerful, they tend to get nerfed in a lore aspect. Because obviously, you know, Freddy is one of the strongest characters lore-wise, and if you consider that, considering his abilities to change reality within the dreamscape, and being able to sort of bring him into the fog is a whole other conversation. Now, you could say that, like, which you already know, there's going to be a bunch of naysayers to something like this. They'll say, oh, but, you know, the weapon is just Trickster's weapon. So, like, what are you gonna do? Like, how, like, that's just copy pasting it, you know? And it's like, yeah, like, you know, but there's also like 3 characters with a knife, and I think 2 could have technically been a kitchen knife. But regardless, there's probably going to be somebody who's gonna say it, so might as well at least point it out and at least get ahead of the curve in that sense. So I'll bring it up because we know that it's going to be mentioned as it is. Now, I do believe that given the opportunity, I think given the chance for the license holders and also for behavior to essentially cook, would have been a good thing. Now, obviously, the release of The Walking Dead has only applied to the survivors. We do not see anything beyond just Michonne, Daryl, Rick, and whatnot, and that's fine and all. You know, it's really great to see that these characters are making their way into the game. It's just as a fan of The Walking Dead, or at least, like, you know, at the, you know, sort of peak when Negan was definitely the biggest draw for the series, I should say. It's a damn shame that we don't have Negan as a killer. I feel like that would have been a fantastic idea. I think that they really could have came up with anything, honestly, because it is a guy, you know, who has like a big sort of legion, you could say, like a big group of people that follow him at that point of the show. Very iconic weapon, probably one of the most recognizable weapons, I think. I would say, like, most recognizable, like, you know, baseball bat I think we've ever had. So I would definitely say it's probably within the realm of possibility. Now, however, you know, I guess the nail's in the coffin because it is really going to be releasing without any killer. And it's just going to be specifically just a survivor-focused chapter, which is going to be very helpful for the queue times that we've had lately. Just a damn shame that we aren't getting our boy Negan. We have to keep in mind that this character also hasn't appeared anywhere else. So we haven't seen this character even in a game like Fortnite, where Fortnite, believe it or not, already had Daryl and Rick and Michonne all as skins that you can purchase. And We did not see like anything else for that. Like the only Negan we ever had received in the for the Walking Dead in Fortnite was actually for the comic book version of Negan, and that is all we had gotten. So it's a possibility that for some reason there must be some kind of rights issue or something like that. Maybe AMC, or maybe just the actor. Maybe there's just something with that where he's just not going to sort of do that role or whatever have you. Beyond Tekken, which is a damn shame. But you know, I also asked the same question with Ghostface back in, you know, as well. Like, how come we haven't gotten a sort of Scream license within the game? You know, considering that Mortal Kombat had gotten a hold of it, with the voice actor for Ghostface and everything like that. We had gotten that in Tekken. We had gotten Skeet Ulrich to do the face cap, like the capturing his face for the character model, and we had not gotten anything obviously for DBD. Now obviously DBD has also stated that they would not cross over licenses, you know what I mean, so they were not going to give a licensed character another license on top of it. But either way, once again, it's a damn shame. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think that Negan should have been a killer in this upcoming chapter, or do you think that maybe he shouldn't have been? Let me know in the comments. But with that being said, man, appreciate you guys for watching up to this point, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Support with the links in the description. Consider hitting that like button, subscribing, follow on Twitch to watch me play Killer live, and I'll see you guys in the next video.